Hello, my ladies, my gays, my theys, and the men who get it. Welcome back to my channel. I am Reagan, and this is my co-host, Flowers. And today we are talking about what I see as one of the ultimate portrayals of a nice guy in fiction. And I'll give you a hint. Hold. It won't go over my pun. Joe Goldberg from You. Particularly what is most fascinating about this is there are girls who absolutely adore him, like have crushes on Joe. Joe Murderer Joe. Joe Stalker Joe. Joe Put You in a Glass Cage Joe with a bucket. Yeah, they're liking this guy. And to me, the reason for that is all wrapped into what makes the show so amazing is that you are seeing the nice guy from the nice guy's perspective. And I think that's what makes it so unique. Because if you were to see this guy for what he really is, I mean, take the narration out. Just take the narration out. And most of the show is this. Yeah, that's it. Literally nothing else. It's just him staring at women, right? So I'm going to do a quick little breakdown of the first episode because I think it is the prime example of what the nice guy is. Don't mind me, just taking out my laptop, okay? Now I'm just gonna read you what he says. Of course, I am not Penn. Like, I don't have his little cutie face, so maybe as I read these words to you, it'll hit a little different. Now, mind you, this is when we meet Beck for the first time. She has come into the bookstore and she's looking at books. She's not talking. She's not really doing anything other than existing. And my God, does Joe create an entire narrative around who she is and what she's doing. Your blouse is loose. You're not here to be ogled, but those bracelets, they jangle. You like a little attention. Okay, I'll bite. No, just no. And then he notices that she's not wearing a bra. God forbid. God forbid we don't put our breasts in cages, like lock them up. Anyways, and this is what he says. Are you not wearing a bra? You want me to notice. If this were a movie, I'd grab you and we'd do it right in the stacks, like the book stacks. And sir, not wearing a bra is not an open invitation. Not wearing a bra is often laziness or I don't give a bleep or I want my breasts to breathe. Like it is never like, hello. So at this point, in a very short amount of time, he is having a full-on conversation with nothing because he has not spoken to this woman. This is just made up in his head. And so far, bracelets and no bra is an invitation at that point that she wants to have schmecks with you, that she is welcoming you, pushing her into a stack of books. Huh? And further proving that he's a nice guy in this, his coworker says, oh, you should Google her. And his response is, that's pretty aggressive. Like, I'm a nice guy. I'm not gonna do that. What does he do? He goes home and immediately starts Googling her to the point of stalking her and getting her address. But to the guy, he's like, that's pretty aggressive. I wouldn't do that. Break the nice guy facade? I think not. I'll just do that in private. I'll just get my ball cap and start stalking her. The writing is so good because he finds her profile, which happens to be public. And he's like, you wanna be seen. I'll oblige. Like, the fact that she doesn't have it on private means you're welcoming this and you're welcoming me and you want me to stalk you on social media. I'll oblige. Like, you want me to? I could do that for you. And this leads into one of my favorite parts of this episode because the nice guy, like in real life, a nice guy again, is only being nice to get something from you. It is not actual niceness. It is, I want to sleep with you. I want to be with you. I want you to see me a certain way. And either the nicest can be revoked if they don't like what you're doing. Like it's not a, I'm nice all the time. It's I'm nice when I'm getting what I want. And additionally to that, often the nice guy will neg you, right? Just throw negative comments out there because they can't openly be an a-hole, right? Because then they lose the facade of the nice guy. So they have to come up with ways to bring you down that can kind of pass as not mean, which is a lot of times condescending comments, right? And even in the first episode, he sees these photos with her and her girls, right? And he doesn't like the girls because the nice guy never likes your friends, right? And he says in the most douchey way possible, candidly, it's the least appealing thing about you. If you have ever dealt with a nice guy, tell me that doesn't hit you right in the stomach. Like that type of nagging, that type of insult, it's so condescending. It's so superior. Like, candidly, it's the least appealing thing about you. Gross. Vomit everywhere. And then in the episode, he sees her with Benji, who is just the worst. And he's like, what the F, Beck? Who the F is this? It's like, okay, you've made this whole thing up. Gross, disgusting. Bye. Because she's a fantasy to him, it has to be an extreme. So he can't deal with like, oh, maybe she has some issues, because he stalked this guy as well. And he can tell he's kind of, true, Joe's right on that one. Like, you could tell from his socials, he was not a good dude. So he knows he's kind of a tool. He cannot accept that Beck may have some stuff she needs to work on as well, or that Bex may have some issues. Maybe she has some trauma. Hint, hint, she does. So he has to then go quickly into savior mode, right? So almost as quick as he's mad at her, he flips it into, I need to save you. These bad men are coming into your life and you let them. And like, she's now the victim and she has to be saved. Like, not even taking into account her wants. What does she want? Maybe she wants to be with Benji. Maybe she likes something about that, the bad boy, which later we find out she does. But no, the nice guy can't handle that. She has to be a damsel in distress that needs to be saved by who? I don't know. The nice guy. It is so dead on. And then one of like the cruelest parts of the first episode to put the viewer through, again, like pointing out, we are forcibly going with his narration, his viewpoint. We are seeing things from his perspective because he is our narrator on this show. We have to, right? They do something so sneaky, which is she is having a good time with herself, and Joe, who is stalking her across the street, witnesses that she is having a good time. And he decides he's going to have a good time from across the street creepily in whatever little alley he's in. If you looked at that in real life, you would see someone enjoying themselves in their own apartment, which is totally fine and justified. And then you would see a creepy guy enjoying himself in an alleyway, which is horrific, right? But in between those 2 points, her doing it and then figuring out he's doing it, you have his fantasy of them having a loving, like, schmeck scene. And it's like a really good, like, ooh, like you can feel the chemistry between the two of them. And like, without even meaning to, you're like, ooh. But in reality, it is his fantasy. It is a twisted creeper's fantasy across the street who is just having a good time with himself. And so you don't even catch how gross it is because he doesn't catch it either. In his mind, that fantasy scene is what he's experiencing. And so you are basically in the passenger seat of the nice guy's ride. You are going on this journey with him without even realizing it. You are complicit in his nice guy mentality. And they do such a good job of it that you don't even grasp it. Like, there are people with full-on crushes of Joe. Full on, like actually attracted to him because they do such a good job of putting you in his perspective. So if you ever needed to know what it's like to think like the nice guy, go ahead and pop in you. Go ahead and just pop it on. Pop it on. I acted like you're going to put a VCR tape in. Do people know what a VCR tape is? Oh my God. But go ahead and put on Netflix because that is how they think. That's absolutely how nice guys think. They are the hero. They're saving everybody. Everything they do is justified. The ends justify the means in their twisted game, in their false narrative of who they are. Not only who they are, but the false fantasy of who they create. Because if you see how he talks about Beck to the reality of who she is, they are not the same person. And when they're not the same person, we know how that goes for Bex. So that is my breakdown solely of the first episode, but just highlighting one of the best fictional representations of the nice guy. And I think so many of us are like, how the heck, like, how do nice guys think this way? Well, it's that show. But when you pull away the narration, you pull away the fantasy, you pull away the conversations he's having in his own head. Mind you, the narration he has is a conversation with her. That is one-sided, completely. She's not involved in this conversation. When you pull all that away, you have the reality of the nice guy. Not the nice guy as he sees himself. Not the nice guy as we're forced to see Joe. But the reality of the nice guy, which is a creepy guy in a ball cap, stalking women and killing people. It is so accurate and so gross. It is so good, so bad. I hate it. I love it. And that's my breakdown of Joe Goldberg from You. Let me know in the comments if there's anybody else you'd like to see a breakdown of. Like, subscribe, and if you want to check out the podcast, I'll see you next time. And as always, my friends, F the nice guy.